We're going to go ahead and move on to our next story, a story I'm very excited to talk about because I love the Transformers movies. Now, that sound I just heard was 1,000 people clicking off this podcast. But, so here's the thing. Transformers 5 was terrible. It was the worst movie I've ever seen in the theater. I've walked out of movies better than Transformers 5. Total garbage. Transformers 2 was really bad, but it was made during the writer's strike, and they kind of made it as they went along. The ending action scene is great. It had Soundwave, it had Ravage, all this cool stuff in it. Transformers 4 was just boring. It wasn't offensively bad, but it was just nothing happened. Transformers 1 is actually a good movie. Not like a good movie in the sense like, I don't know, Schindler's List or something, but it's very well done. And the beginning of Transformers 1, where the helicopter lands in the military base and the army soldiers surround it, and then it transforms. I've watched that clip, that army-based clip, so many times on YouTube. I love that scene, and I remember sitting in the theater and going, this is what I want out of a Transformers movie. I want to see humans and Autobots side by side fighting Decepticons. Never was interested in just robots punching each other. I like the army stuff. Transformers 3. Transformers 3 Dark of the Moon is not only the best movie of the series, it's not only, honestly, in my top 10 favorite films, but Transformers 3 is the best alien invasion movie since at least the last 20 years. Hands down. I will argue that any day. It has elements, and it's great, it's weird, it has the Illuminati in it, it has the NASA cover-ups in it, it has one of the best alien invasion scenes. And the last hour of the movie is them fighting block by block through Chicago, and it does an interesting thing in that movie, where the action is linear, so you will follow one character, and then they'll cut to another scene, and when we rejoin that first character, they will be in a different location, fighting a different enemy. So it's not like this cut and everything's happening at the same time. When you're watching Bumblebee, and then they cut to Optimus Prime, and you go back to Bumblebee later, he has progressed in his mission. It's very rare in action movies when you think about it. You'll see a guy shooting here, and then you'll cut to another guy shooting or punching some guy, you cut back, and the first guy's still shooting in the same location he was before. Transformers 3 plays out like a war. Characters are moving throughout the battlefield. It's expertly done. But there's a 490-page essay called I Actually Kind of Appreciate the Transformers. And it gave me a whole new look on the movies. And this is the theory that this author puts forward. This was written by Terry Van Feliday, I think it is. I'll have the link below. I recommend you reading it. If you're a fan of Transformers or not, if you're a fan of film theory, it's mind-blowing. What the theory he puts forward is that Optimus Prime is the bad guy. Unapologetically the bad guy. And this is important because the movies are put forward that Optimus Prime is America. The whole movies, the humans are draped in the American flag. Michael Bay is known for his visual imagery. They use real military personnel to make the movies. A lot of times the minor roles are played by active duty military. Optimus Prime is a raging psychopath and a murderer on a global scale in these movies. And what's interesting is that he is positioned as the good guy. We knew him as a good guy from the cartoon, from the comic books, from the toys, all that stuff. In the movies, this is basically the plot of each movie. Megatron wants to get something to save his race, and Optimus Prime blows it up. The first movie was the Allspark. It has the souls of every Transformer ever yet to be born. It's like the Guff. It's their tree of life. Optimus Prime first throws it into a wormhole, which is how it gets to Earth, and then he pushes it into Megatron's chest, destroying both the Spark and the Allspark and Megatron. Second movie, because they don't have the Allspark, they have to have this machine that destroys our sun to again revitalize their species. In the second movie, the bad guy is in a Decepticon baby infirmary, and they're watching these babies die, and it's very clear that's what's going on. For the future of the race of the Transformers, they need this energon. What does Optimus Prime do? He blows it up. Oh, it should be said, too, and this is what the paper goes into all of this as well. There was a civil war on the planet of Cybertron, the Transformers' home planet. The Decepticons won. It was never the war waged for 1,000,000 years and no one side. No, the Decepticons killed everyone who wasn't on their side. And the Autobots are like 20 people. Now, here's the thing. At a certain point, you go from being the resistance to being terrorists. When there's only 20 of you left and everyone else on the planet is on board, you're ISIS. You're Al-Qaeda. You're the bad guy because everyone else is on board. But so Megatron wants to create more Transformers, and Optimus Prime is constantly stopping him from continuing the race. In Transformers 3, since Megatron's like, well, listen, we don't have the Allspark, and we don't have this machine that can make energon out of the sun. The only other plan is Plan Z that we planned for, and just in case Optimus Prime went nuts, we're going to bring Cybertron to Earth and enslave the humans to rebuild our planet. Optimus Prime destroys Cybertron. Just blows it up. It's like coming halfway through a wormhole, and Optimus Prime blows it up so it's half in a wormhole, half not. They just show the lights going out on the planet. He then executes 2 Transformers, Sentinel Prime and Megatron, as they beg for their lives, shoots them in the head, blows their brains out. In the novelization for Dark of the Moon, Megatron says, please don't kill me, Optimus, and Optimus Prime goes, okay, and Megatron leaves, not to get revenge, but to rebuild Cybertron. Transformers 4, there's this thing, of course, to make more Transformers. Megatron wants it, Optimus Prime, I believe, blows it up, but he doesn't. Megatron doesn't get away with it. And in the 5th one, surprise, surprise, Cybertron comes back to Earth, and Optimus Prime not only blows it up, but kills the Transformers god that's living in the center of Cybertron. So he has decimated their race. And that's what's interesting about this essay. The essay goes up to Transformers 3, and so when I went to go see the next 2, I thought, is Optimus Prime still going to... Yep, Optimus Prime is still actively destroying his entire race. He's so cold-blooded. Optimus Prime, childhood hero, personal child hero of mine. I always looked up to Optimus Prime. He's so cold-blooded, he shoots Kelsey Grammer with a laser cannon that was built to punch holes through starships. He's like a low-level government employee who's punching Shia LaBeouf, and Optimus Prime just obliterates him. This cannon he's used to blow off Megatron's head multiple times. This thing that was built to basically wage interstellar war. He shoots a government flunky with it. He's insane in these movies. And what's interesting is I don't think Michael Bay's an idiot. You can say what you want about his filmmaking. I actually think he's not like the best filmmaker, but I think he's great at what he does, which is action movies, but he's not an idiot. And it says something that his movies are so pro-American, and we're the good guys, they're the bad guys are named the Decepticons, and this is just like, there's black and white. Optimus Prime's always giving these speeches almost to the camera about how life and freedom and humans and personal responsibility and all this stuff. And then when you step back out of the realm of, watching the cartoon and knowing this guy is a hero based on other forms of media, he comes across as a total lunatic who then executes people, full bore executes helpless people multiple times. And then he turns to the camera and he goes, freedom is the right of all beings. And you're like, what the hell is going on? And I think the shame is a lot of people, I think the reason, because these films are considered just for kids and things like that, that film theorists and people who analyze film critics and just in general, just dismiss them. And I think they are really rich. They have these weird themes. This particularly, I've seen Transformers 3, I don't know how many times. And I will watch just clips of it online. I was just watching clips of it online last night. That movie, I love that movie, but I never thought of it critically in that way until I read this essay, and it totally rings true. Optimus Prime is nothing more than a terrorist who kills his own people time and time again and makes sure that there can never be any more Transformers. He destroyed all their souls. And there's never a reason why, just that the Megatron's evil. And I do think Michael Bay is smart enough to make that message that America does all these crazy things that are so morally ambiguous. And they may say freedom is the right of all sentient beings, but then they just drop bombs everywhere. I think that it really is supposed to be more subversive than people have caught on, like Starship Troopers. I think as more time passes, People may get a closer look at Transformers and see it as that, but this essay definitely does that. And I really wish more people would look at Transformers with a critical eye rather than being like, oh, you can't tell the Transformers apart, Michael Bay's a hack. It's all a bunch of shots of women looking up their skirts and blah, blah, blah. And it's really dismissive. There's more there. I've read a dozen thought pieces on Infinity War, which I really enjoyed that movie as well. I personally think Transformers 3 is better than Infinity War, honestly, just pound for pound. But if you haven't watched those movies, I recommend 1 and 3. And I definitely recommend reading the essay because I haven't even scraped the surface. There's all sorts of other elements and proof that Optimus Prime is really the bad guy of those movies. It's fascinating. And again, if Optimus Prime is the bad guy of those movies and Optimus Prime is draped in the American flag, what is Michael Bay really saying about the American culture? Fascinating stuff. Fascinating. That was a clip from our daily podcast, Dead Rabbit Radio. Dead Rabbit Radio is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime news. If you want to hear the full episode that this clip came from, check the link below. Please like and subscribe. And hit that little bell, too. That does some magical stuff. Thanks, guys.